Okay, hi. Welcome to AfroQuantum Experience. Change this up. I'm going to just bring on my guest while we try to fix this little snafu that has happened. Oh, shoot. Let's see. Join. Sorry, guys. We're professionals. Wow. Maybe it's not me. Turn this off. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back on in my computer, but I don't see any of my friends here. Um, Sorry. Oh, here they are. Guys, I'm so sorry. Introduce yourselves while I try to turn off my phone, okay? You have been removed from the street.
Hello, everyone. I am Tamaya Iman Kennedy. I am a multi-hyphenate creator. I'm a writer, producer, actress, and I'm also owner of Black on the Scene, which is a multimedia production company. And we're so much more than that. Our mission is really to ensure Black representation in the film, TV, and digital realm. And we do that by generating opportunities for creators by providing resources and job opportunities, celebrating Black cinema, doing movie screenings, panel discussions, and everything that we do is we make sure that we depict positive stories about Black people. So yes, that is me, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Jake Ann, for inviting me.
Thank you, Tamaya. Thank you. Next, Cora. Tell us about yourself. We're going out of order.
Okay, I am a painter and an educator. My work generally is figurative, and it is very much exploring the spiritual side of life and the nature of the world and what my place is in the world. I'm also an educator. I've taught every level from preschool through graduate school. Uh, I got my undergraduate degree at Howard University during the time of the Black Power movement. I had teachers such as Lois Jones, Pierre Noel, and David Driscoll. As I was graduating, Jeff Donaldson was the chair. I went on to get my master's in art administration and my doctorate from NYU in art.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Frederick.
Well, hello. I'm gonna have a hard time following that. Well, my name is Frederick Woods. I'm an artist too, and I do what I call art for the soul. So I like to channel, different energies and put in my artwork. But I'm also a spiritual teacher myself, and I do life coaching, intuitive coaching, and so my whole process, like I'm doing a series on how to help for mental health. But I'm definitely trying to reach out to the African Americans because, especially males, and teaching them how to learn to self-love, because once you truly love yourself, then everything else doesn't really matter, or you can handle it better. Thank you. And thank you, Jacan.
Yeah, awesome. You guys are a great trio. So let's really quickly just go back to art. So this is Black History Month, but I like to call it Black Futures Month. And, you know, it's related because obviously we are moving into the future, even while we are reaching back to our past. So we're going to look at a quick slideshow because I was like, I cannot get through this series without talking about the Dogon. Okay, this is so the Dogon this is their creation story. I really am so into them because they are reaching way back, 400 years back. They have a creation story. They are in Mali and Burkina Faso, in West Africa, and they live in those kind of cliff dwellings. And that photo is a photo of the way they masquerade themselves during their Sigi ritual, which we're going to learn about. Keep going. I'm going to go through this real quick, this slideshow. So the Dogon creation story talks about an evolutionary process that begins with their god, Amma. And it's a scientific explanation, which is very different than some of the other animist tribal beliefs, right? The Dogon story starts with a seed floating through the darks of space before the birth of our galaxy, the Milky Way, and the seed begins to expand to the point and it expands at the point where the dog star, which is Sirius A, right? That's a star system that we know of, is actually located. So that's where their seed exploded and everything began for them. Keep going, please. So you'll just see here some of the art you can find in the books that have been written about them, some of their art. Amma created the Nomo, which is a pair of androgynous twins who would eventually populate the earth. Keep going. So the Nomo came down from the sky in a gigantic boat or an ark, and they populated the earth, and they created all the first light, all the first water, and they had a bunch of offspring. Keep going. Okay, so the twin stars of Sirius A and Sirius B are celebrated by the Dogon still today during their Sigi ritual, which occurs every 60 years, which is the amount of time it takes for Sirius B to circle Sirius A. The Dogon Elder and Hogan Ogatameli narrated the cosmology, and symbols of the Dogon people to French anthropologist Marcel Griot during the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s. However, it wasn't until the 1980s that astronomers actually had telescopes powerful enough to see Sirius B. So everybody's like, where did they learn about this star system? Well, they said that it came to them from outer space. And yes, okay, so that's the book that Marcel Griot wrote about that gentleman, Ogatameli, and you can see the star system there. I would definitely go look up some of this if you want more information. I find it fascinating. For me, they are the link. They are Afrofuturism because they are going all the way back to 400 years and saying these were our people. They came down and gave us this information, and you know, they had actual scientific information that we couldn't even really we couldn't see that second star until 1980. So that's strange. What do you guys think about this? Thoughts?
I like the fact that they talk about the fish people, you know, talking about Atlantis, and how also too, you know, like they would entertain them. They would come out the water, they would educate them, and then they'll go back into the water. And so a lot of their art depicts a lot of the talking about the fish people that came out of the water, and you can see like the mermaids and stuff like that, you know. And the ritual too of the young man, because you know they're considered a woman until they do the rite of passage, and then after that, you know, then they become a man. But they have to get permission from the elders before they can even embark on the ritual. and getting permission to dress up, put the face cover on, and do the whole dance thing.
Right.
I find the whole idea of creation myths intriguing, and I have used them, that as subject in my work at times. There are a lot of similarities, some differences, but at the core, I think there is something that we all share that is rooted in the first human being that actually came about. There's a word for it, it's activistic. And it just simply means that we have all the memories of everybody embedded in our heart, soul's mind. And it can come out after skipping many, many generations. Some call it cultural memory or activistic cultural memory. And when African Americans artists today create work, I think a lot of that impulse to keep creating is those messages that we're getting from those ancestors back before time was given a name.
I love that.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Tamaya, you have any thoughts?
definitely well said, Cora. Yeah, honestly, this is my hearing about this story, so I thought it was really interesting and cool. And then I did a little research on my own with just knowing that Alma took yeah, I guess I wanted a little bit more clarity. Was Alma the one who, like, for example, like the sun, the moon, the stars, was Alma the one that built that from clay, or was that somebody else?
There's no clay that I have read about. But God, in the Christian Bible, I think God creates Adam and Eve from clay, right? Or Adam from the dirt and Eve from his rib, right? In this, it's sort of like it's space, which I think is what's so awesome. It all takes place in space, right? And everything is created in space, and then they bring the second Earth. This was not the actual slides, the actual right slides, because in the last slides, there was one slide that talks about how the Earth was created twice, right? And there was an image of an egg, because they had like 7 stages through which it took to go from the egg to Earth. And they had a bunch of different. They had like 8 different versions of the Nomo, and they started fighting, and everything got messed up. And Amma just destroyed the first Earth and made a second arc, and that became our Earth. So it's actually kind of a complex thing that all happens up in space, and then it comes down to Earth. But I definitely recommend you guys, if you're interested. There's that book. There's this book. They have a million books now on Sirius, and this whole. All right, let's keep going.
I'm gonna read the book because I watched the YouTube video, and the YouTube video led me wrong. Read the book.
YouTube videos are great, but there's like, you got to compare them. But all right, let's keep going with our guests. Let's get to it. So let's start with who's on our run sheet. Sorry, y'all, I'm looking at my run sheet to try to keep us together. Okay, so all videos in this episode are for educational purposes only. I have to say that for YouTube. So let's start with Cora.
Okay.
Let's look at some of your slides and talk us through some of your work.
Okay. This is from a series I'm currently working on, and it's the series itself is called Sacred Spaces. And the idea of, I think, growing out of the pandemic as much as anything else, in the times, the turmoil in which we live, where we have alternative facts, and there's so much hate and this violence going around, we have to take pause and find out who we are and how we fit in. The one on the left, or my left, is the angst, the sign of life. So the idea of meditating and trying to find out what life is about. The other one is the tree of life. Um, it's the same idea of taking pause and going inward.
Beautiful.
These two paintings are the dream messengers. My grandmother was a Native American healer, and one time I got really, really sick, and she came to me in a dream, and she told me, what I needed to do to get well. And I did a whole series on dream messengers. A lot of times, I know the other artists here might experience the same thing. Uh, I paint in my sleep, or if I'm not painting, I get an answer to some of the questions I have, or what do I do next. The images that are up here is one of my biggest series and probably most well known, and they're runaways based on the return of enslaved people who ran away. And the descriptions were so detailed by the color of their skin, the kind of hair they had, and layering over the paintings is a wax cover that I'm using as a veil to separate and protect the whole idea of what it means to come from slavery. After slavery, I got intrigued with okay, African Americans, the Negro is free. So, what kind of jobs did they have? I looked into my family tree and looked at some of the work that was they were doing, and there's a fishmonger and a grocer and so forth. But they're like the idea of work. And again, looking to the spiritual side and how I fit in. This is a photographic series I did where I use a projector to put slides over my body. I was living in this old house at the time, and this was done with a traditional camera and using traditional photographic means. And I had African images and colonial images and images just by myself. Again, trying to figure out who I am and where I come from. Now,
Mm.
here to creation myths. This is a Yoruba. And on the left here, when it's looking, Miller gets down and, again, coming from the sky, having some mishaps, uh, things going too slow. And in fact, the Yoruba also believe that they dug into the mud to create humans. But Miller got planted some palm and made palm wine and got drunk. And he started making mistakes. So that's why people got to be blind or, wasn't born perfect. So it's kind of interesting that they made allowances that every human being that was created wasn't perfect. Again, this is from the impulse from Africa back to that activistic memory. I don't know, like many African Americans, what tribe or nation that I come from, but when I feel something inside that I connect to, then I did the work and kind of adopt it and make it my own to internalize some of the things. This series is called Still I Rise, and it's based on, of course, Maya Angelou's poem. But the images come from W.E.B. Du Bois in the 1900s. He did a whole series for the exposition in Paris. He wanted to show people that African American comes in all kind of shades of color. They have education. They're refined. Again, trying to show a different face than what was being projected in some of the advertisements with the Sambos going on. And that's my great great grandmother on the left hand side, Primmy Langston, and her daughter, and again exploring my family roots, but closer to home this time. And this again is a mixed media series with I'm very blessed to have some images of some of my family members, and the only reason I have those is that they were landowners, so there was a record of them. On my father's side, Native American side, I have nothing. So core in a
Fantastic.
nutshell.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you. did not know of your larger body of work. I've seen a lot of your work, but I didn't realize that you used so many different inspirations and that spirituality was
I'm old.
through in your work. You know, your
I've been making art for 50
through.
years.
Amazing. So beautiful. Thoughts? Other guests? Would you like to respond, or I'm blown away.
Yes,
Beautiful work.
yeah, I thought that was beautiful. I probably you touched on the fact that you're an artist in your sleep, and like you'll think of something. I feel like I can relate to that because you know, especially I'll dream of a story and then think about it the next day and try to write it out and get that out. But yes, I love that.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, I've been a fan of core work for a very, very long time.
I think we show at Carla's gallery a couple of times together.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Just a long time ago.
Carla Bristol.
Yeah. Shout out.
Gallery 909. Thank you, Carla, for all of your work in arts in our area. Okay, well, why don't we move on to Tamaya? I know you have some stuff for us to look at. Talk to us. What is this?
Get myself off mute. Okay, yeah. So this project, I'm a creator. So I'm a writer, producer, actress, and this is a project that I collaborated on. This is a project from Corey Emanuel Jr. It is called I Do. It is a short film, pretty much about a married man flirts with another woman, and she's not what she seems. And yes, this project was really connecting the temptation that comes with marriage, the really important thing to have men in your life to be able to steer you back to the right direction. So that community, brotherhood, I guess is the right word to use. But yes, that was amazing. I was associate producer as well. And we had a great time. That was an overnight shoot, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I had about 3 Red Bulls, but it was worth it. It came out beautifully. This project is called Serious Business. And this is a Black on the Scene in-house production. We had an all-Black crew. It was so much fun. So this project is about a first time meeting a family is never easy, but Jared, the main character, seems to finally be ready to take this next step with his girlfriend Crystal. That is until he has to play spades. And I don't know if y'all know, but spades is very important for the Black household. And if you don't know how to play spades, you need to get away from the table. So this is just shows you the comedy relief of a fun time family and how crazy we get when we're playing cards. So that was very fun. And you can probably catch that in April. We're still in the post-production phase, so bear with us. It is coming. But I shot this also with my family. So like the people on the table, that's my dad. Next to me, I was the main actress. And that was a friend of mine, Shepherd. We did a project in the summer together. So it was nice bringing him back. But yes, this was a great experience, and I can't wait to show you all the final product.
Nice.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, what was that? Yeah, okay.
That was a project I recently did with Nikki Gaskin, K Part. Lord, what's up with you tonight? But she has a project, a documentary she's working on about just women trailblazers in the community and how they continue to persevere through racial disparities. So that was a great project as well. She had previously worked on it last year, but I helped her out to do some more footage. And that should be out in April as well. And she's trying to get that in the Sunshine Film Festival in the area. So I hope I said that right. But yes, be on the lookout for that.
So how long have you been making film, and how do you move between being a producer, doing the writing, doing the acting? Like, how do you negotiate between all those different roles?
I am still navigating it because so much, but I'm so grateful for it. I actually started 3 years ago, and my first project I was able to be blessed to do was a web series read about it with culture books. But yeah, like I try to allocate at least like I split up my days like 3 hours a day. I do writing, 3 hours on Tuesday. I do editing, 3 hours on Thursday. I do focus on directing. But yeah, I just try to give as much time to everything. And I know a lot of people say like all trades is a master of none, but I'm trying to go against that narrative and make it happen because Issa Rae is like one of my biggest inspirations. She does it all. So that's big sis, and I'm following her footsteps, and I'm making it happen. So yes, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Thoughts, Cora, Frederick? Any questions or anything?
You have so many hats that you wear, and I'm sure each has its, challenges and each has its rewards. But which one actually speaks to your heart the most?
That's a good question. It really is acting. Acting is like my first love, but I hate to say this, but like I don't want to be like the struggling actor. So I really want to make sure I'm financially stable before I like do that full time, if that makes sense. But it does speak to me, and I love acting so much.
Awesome. I love it.
Beautiful.
Okay, we're gonna circle back. Let's hear from Frederick now. Fred. And Tamaya, when you said jack of all trades, master of none, it's so funny because I just had a conversation with a friend of mine in New York about the term multi-hyphenate, which, for the longest time, artists have had to do so many different things. And then about 25 years ago, actually, she told me Cher was the first pop star that made a perfume. And now everybody's expected to do more than one thing. So don't feel a way about that. That's what lots of people do, right? So Frederick, talk to us.
Hey, so the paintings that you're looking at right now are from a series of mine for mental health. So the blue painting is about depression, and then the lady, like with this figure, which I call Medusa, and this is all about how society tells women how they're supposed to look, without knowing that beauty comes from within. So because they get so caught up, or even men or anyone who get so caught up about looking outside of themselves that are looking within, that they become that. And so then that's what you project to society or project to other people, you forget your beauty. And this one, with the guy with the heart, that one it's about Parkinson's disease. And so you have the person in the back who's supporting this person with all the love that they have. The chair represents stability. The candle represents, hope. And as long as the flame is burning, there's always hope. And then you see in the back are the people who support them. But as you go farther, those are the people that person is forgetting. And then, huh? Okay.
No, that really touched me. Wow.
Yeah, and then you have the two young ladies, which is called sisters. And this painting is about how we're always looking for someone to complete us, without knowing that we're already completed within ourselves, right? So we comfort each other, but we forget that we can comfort ourselves just as strongly. Like you don't really need another person. When you share love, you grow together. So when you grow together, that's how you connect. You know what I mean? You're supporting each other. It's not an attachment, but it's a unconditional condition that we're offering. And then I have this one, which is actually this one I call transcend. And this is how when we move on and we go past the veil, the boat represents the journey. And as we go past the veil, we pick up another self or another ego, and then we have the grandmother energy and then we have the grandfather energy. The grandmother energy is present, but the grandfather energy is just as strong. And this painting here, with the big heart, is actually a painting that's going to be on the cover of Carver Can, because they asked me to do a cover for one of their cans for the campaign for Carver Coffee. Yeah, but this one is called
Yeah.
this is about how when we get in a relationship or when we hold on to something, right? And so the rope represents how long you've been holding on to it because you see the frail. But then once we let go of that, we make ourselves over. So that's why the person has no figure because it's like, I'm letting go of that. The window represents your soul, your heart, and the ladder represents the people that want to reach that. So sometimes the window is up and sometimes it's down. But when the window is up and you allow someone to come in, then they get to see who you truly are. And that's what the balloon represents, your higher self.
Wow. I just want to take time to acknowledge Felonious Monk. Thank you, has been talking through this. And Cora, I wanted to let you know that your work is incredible. And then a big love for what you're sharing with us, Frederick. So Fred, I want you to talk a little bit about your Reiki and your healing too, because Fred was one of our practitioners during the Afrofuturism Festival. And, I really wanted Fred because he is this, getting back to the whole idea of a multi-hyphenate, right? Tamaya, he is an artist and he's a healer and he does music and sound bowls. So just talk and also Cora, the whole spiritual thing. I'm so glad that you guys are both on this show because spirit and spiritual energy and all of that is so important to me. So Frederick, talk to us a little about your healing and your process and how those things work together.
Okay. So I do like Reiki healing and theta, but I'm also an intuitive life coach. And my thing, like I was saying earlier, is unconditional love and the unconditional love of self. And that's what I'm trying to install in people that, that when we truly start loving ourselves, open ourselves to who we truly are, then a lot of the stuff that we get caught up in, we won't get caught up in. Because with that statement, we attract who we are, or we become who we are. So if I can get people to see that, that I'm more than that person or more than that and move past that image of what people's telling you who you should be and recognize the person that truly lies within your heart. I do a lot of also too Reiki and chakra clearing because with your three chakras, your root, your sacral, and your solar plex, right? These are your three main chakras, right? And this is a turning point in life because your root chakra is something that you didn't get when you were younger, right? So you seek that out throughout your life. So to change that behavior, we have to go back to your root chakra because that's your safety, that's love, that's security, what I mean? So that's all of your basic needs. That's from the age of 1 to 7, what I mean? That you're influenced that way. So we change the root, then we change everything else. And then we open up our heart chakra and then we become more authentic. And when we become more authentic, our throat chakra opens up and then we start speaking the truth more. And when we start speaking our truth more, our third eye opens up that much more. And so we see things before they happen, or we know things before. You become like a duck in the water and you would keep receiving messages, turn left instead of turning right. You know what I mean? So you're a lot more clear of who you are and not what people think you should be.
So I want to ask you all a question. We're in a really crazy time, right? We're in a time where it just, they're like banning books and saying, oh, let's pull this out of schools. Oh, we can't talk about Black, whatever. I'm not trying to get into all that. I want to find out what are your recommendations as artists, as healers, as spiritual people, as creators? What do you think the role of the artist is during times like this? I'm going to ask Cora, then I'm going to ask Tamaya, and then we're going to come back to Fred. Cora, what do you think the role is for us? Muted. We can't hear you.
She's just talking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it takes not not just a community, it takes a world of artists to have an impact. And it's not going to be just one thing. You need to hear many voices coming together in harmony. You'll have voices that addresses the socio-political aspect, strong and loud. You'll have the spiritual artists who will give you a place to meditate or teach you about how you can heal and be self-sufficient within yourself. You have artists that's going to get you up and moving and bringing you a lot of Black joy. You're going to have artists that show films that make us reflect on our lives and people we know. So it's very, very complicated, and it isn't just one thing. And I'm very hesitant of saying this is our role now. I guess if I had to say one thing, it would be our role as artists is to make art and then put it out there as much as we can. And each of us will communicate and touch a different audience in a very, I think, unique way.
Yep. What do you think, Tamaya?
Yes, Cora, I think you summed that up beautifully. And I was gonna say it takes various perspectives. Because even too, I was, I'll be transparent. It's time to see things, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like this story is outdated. Nobody needs to hear this, but that's not true, because somebody may need to hear that. Somebody haven't heard that, and just because it's not my place to say, or that's not what I connect to, doesn't mean it's less important. So I do agree with you. You have to have different people saying different things, expressing themselves, and I think the key is being authentic to who you are, because that will show up in the world, and that story will ultimately be able to connect with somebody. But yes, various ideas, is different forms of art, but yes, all of that. Corey, I think I don't need to say anything else. You got it. That was it.
Tamaya, where do you get your inspiration from as a creator and a filmmaker and a writer at this point? Like, what things inspire you?
Honestly, it's really my everyday experience, my family, and my friendships. But I feel like I'm still young. I feel like I still have so much to live and so much to learn. So I feel like that's going to evolve over time. But where I'm at right now is just like what I see, if that makes sense.
Fred?
I also agree with Cora that, the story that she told was beautiful. But to add to that, I think that, artists of all different kind of types are storytellers. And through our art, we are archiving, subjects, matters, and things. But to turn that all inward, know that, it comes within ourselves. So what we see out in the world is something that we could be creating. So, if we turn that inward and take that beauty and just go inward, then we can change that narrative. And then we keep putting positive, beautiful energy out there in the world and not feeding the beast. So. You're muted.
I'll put an amen with what you just said, Root Man, because when you go to study a culture from ancient times, what do you look at? When you dig it up that sarcophagus, what are you looking for? You look at the art to tell the story of who the people are. Amen.
Thank you.
Wow. All right. Maybe I'll have another question after we look at our videos. Oh, Felonious Monk said, I love me some Cora. We love her too. Okay. Should we go on to our videos? We have a little bit of time. Let me.
another lazy night. Ceiling fan spinning, guess it's time to take flight. When I was a kid, I would look up at the stars, not the type to drive around this town in fancy cars, or the type that you see when you drink too much at bars, the type that bloom past Jupiter and Mars. Now that I'm grown, I keep my childish ways in mind when I'm looking for the answers that I seek but cannot find. Look up and let the light baptize you. Take a deep breath and inhale the nebulizer. 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 Now hear this, hieroglyphics on spaceships made of stone, tagged like graffiti on an old school train, running through the city like blood through a vein. Find us with a light and bright linen robes, a romance serum of quartz and gold. Shared we explode, riches and rolls. So let's take a stroll to a place mere mortals will never know. Breathe in, let the light baptize you. Take a deep breath and inhale the nebulizer. Take a deep breath and inhale the nebulizer.
So I didn't get to tell you before we started the video what the rules of this game are. So the rules of this game are simple. What about this video? Why do you think that I chose this video as an Afro, something that was Afrofuturistic, or was telling us a story, in a viewpoint of Afrofuturism, which we really didn't discuss what Afrofuturism is, but try anyway. Thoughts?
Well, I was saying earlier.
Go ahead, Tamaya.
Okay. But I feel like the whole world of Afrofuturism, just the word in general, is new for me. So just seeing that, I feel like I'm able to connect that, the out of this world, the space, the Black experience, and it's like you're merging it. But yeah, I mean, listening to the lyrics, I thought they were pretty cool. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Cora?
Well, I would say that I know, being such a strong, visual person, I think the movement, and not only that, the layering, where if you look at some of Rootman's work, he has a fourth dimension. It's not just, length, height, and width. He has a fourth dimension. A lot of the cubists had it too, where you're in more than one place at a time. And the way that you use multiple images and the way you use duplicates. I don't know. It reminds me of that story, Jagan, that you were telling us in the beginning, the creation myth with the egg that was floating around. You said it was the smallest of things. And you could take that little seed of Africanism, and it's the smallest of things. And you can expand it and let it explode, where it becomes more than just the smallest of things, but it can become like a motivating and thriving feature of who we are. Anyway.
Love it.
Yeah.
Fred?
Thank you, Cora. To me, when I see Afrofuturism, I feel it's kind of like an onion, right? And so with each layer, as we peeling it off, we recreating, or retelling that story, but telling the story in another way that other people can understand it, because as we go through time, we tell stories. And like in the old days, people used to sit around and tell stories. So this is another way of communicating, our messages out there, or getting that energy out there to younger people or people who just don't get it. It's like peeling off the onion and seeing it differently.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's look at the next video. Yeah. Yeah, I remember this one.
Above and beyond, around and below and through every available avenue. Go, carve your own path, be the prototype from which they mold numerous casts. Go, hard against the grain of thought, your splinters are caught in the folds of your brain. Go, make your sense of progress, don't regress or treat life like recess. Go, in a manner opposite of what is the focus of judicial documents. And find a place where free speech is validated by enlightened minds. Go, anywhere and witness the witness neglect their mental fitness. So I'm gonna go to my digital safe haven and create them deep vibrations that make them go.
Oh, that was quick. Okay. The first video was by Eagle Nebula, and this one was by Fabius Beck. Thoughts on this video? Let's start with Tamaya.
Okay. I don't know. I thought it was. Of course, I love the filmic visuals of it from like the filmmaking standpoint. But if I'm wrong, let me know. But like, it seems like he's getting out his thoughts, right? This is like the world that he sees, and we're seeing it. Is that what that looks like?
There's no wrong answers.
Because I'm like, am I interpreting this wrong? But yeah, it just kind of felt like that was his thoughts, and like it was just like projected for the world to see.
Cora?
I thought he was very effective in creating a mood. The use of lights and shadows, I think, was very important to the narrative. And really, it reminds me of the old 1960 video art. I don't know if you looked at some of those video arts that was, running at the time. But I think that chiaroscuro, going back to, Rembrandt, to something modern or the 60s, I think it had a lot of stuff in it that you can look at. I didn't really focus on the words. I get caught up in the visuals, but I think that it gave an interesting way of how to externalize what your thoughts are internally by using the mass mechanism.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. Fred?
I found it a little chaotic, but also too, I feel like, what he was showing is like when we get caught up in our heads, and all the thoughts and stuff that keep running, we get caught on that rat race and stuff like that. It felt a little dark. Could be a little bit more clearer, the message, but just, my point of view, what I mean? I'm not saying that it's bad, but I just felt like, the energy that was in that video probably wasn't as strong as it could have been. It makes sense. If that makes sense. It's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that it was interesting because I'm always like thinking about how we're slowly becoming sort of like cyborgized, the whole thing of being online and plugged in. And so to me, that was kind of like what he was, he put a mask on and then there's video. It's like the whole thing of virtual reality and he's on his keyboard. And so I just thought it was really, kind of spoke to the direction that we're going in terms of computerizing our minds and our souls. And so for that, probably chaotic, dark, all of that probably.
The Chinese have a word for it. They call it monkey mind.
Yeah.
Monkey
like
mind.
there's a little monkey inside your head just running around and running around
Buddhist,
and,
right.
causing, havoc,
Yes, indeed.
Could be another way of looking at it too, is like him putting his head in the sand, like just, you know what I mean? And not dealing with society or dealing with what's going on with himself, and just caught up in his thought, I'm going to put my head in the sand and then hopefully everything else would just happen, figure it out.
Tamaya, what did you think about the production of it? Beyond the meaning,
Right.
Do you think it was an effective production?
Right.
I mean, I myself like the dark, like chiaroscuro. Root Man, I like saying Root Man. Root Man
Yeah,
didn't particularly
it
like that. What did you say?
no, it was a little dark for it. I like that you said that. I wouldn't have said that, but when you said that, I was like, okay, it was a little too dark for me. But I think they did a good job with, especially with the whole like the silence in the beginning. Like he didn't really say much. He just went in and you got to see what he was thinking. And the words started coming. Again, I didn't actually hear what he said, but yeah, because it was a lot. But I thought it was pretty cool, but it was dark, Fred. You hit it on the head with that.
Thank you.
Polonius said, I loved how tech forward it was and unpredictable, not tied to any cliches. And I saw him in control, a captain of his ship. Yeah, his name is Thavius Beck, B-E-C-K. Okay, so does anybody have anything coming up they want to share? And then I've got to say my thank yous to our Creative Pinellas people and talk about have a stage reading coming up Saturday, and I realized, man, I need to take an opportunity to talk about this. But any of y'all have anything that you want to share as we wrap it up? Thank you guys for being here. And
there is a currently running in Sarasota and Bradenton an exhibition with the Suncoast people of all African American art,
right, Black arts
in 3 different locations, and it's going to run until the end of the month. So if you're ever down there, it would be they're online. If you look up Suncoast Black artists, and if you Google it, it'll come up. But some really fabulous Black art, and they include students as well as professional artists as well. So you get a whole gamut, and it's all of Florida. It's not just the southern Florida.
I'm in that show.
I am too.
I know. I saw your work at the second location.
It's fabulous.
Awesome.
I'm also going to be at the Awakening Festival. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm not. Go ahead, Fred.
Go ahead, Fred. What are you saying?
Say that I'm also going to be at the Awakening Festival and next month on the 11th and 12th. That's it.
Okay.
Where's that festival?
I want to know. Oh Lord, sorry.
No, I just wanted to know, where's the festival? Is it St. Pete?
St. Pete is going to be in Stroke Park.
Right. Okay. Yeah, they do that pretty regularly. Okay. So you're selling there? You're vending your work?
I'm actually reading. I'm doing readings.
Oh, you're doing what kind of readings?
So what I do is I sit in front of a person, and then I have paper, and I have colored pencils, and I draw out stuff, and then we talk about it. And it's part of my coaching healing process.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Okay. I need to hear more about that. Okay, Tamaya, did you want to share something? Sorry, girlie.
I need the book. I need the book session. But no, I was going to say about me. I want to thank Ann for inviting me. I learned so much, and I just want to say, when I first got started 3 years ago, you were the first name that people mentioned to me and telling me to connect with you. And it just speaks on your community activism, you being an activist, you being an artist, a businesswoman. And I just want to say again, thank you. I am definitely inspired by you. And I'm just so filled today with everything I've seen from Cora and Fred. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we did this show, and man, there are just so many incredible people in the Tampa Bay area doing work. I couldn't even begin to get half of the people on that really people need to know that this work is happening. So I just have to say thank you to all of you. You really inspire me. Yes, I do. So this weekend is the Pinellas African American Heritage Celebration. This Saturday, February 25th, is happening on the campus of Creative Pinellas. It's the second year since it's come back. It was gone for about 10 years, and now it's back. It was great last year. You get to walk through the beautiful gardens, and there are tons of vendors. And at 1:00, actually, my reading of my play, I can read Brother Fire, Sister Fly. This is the second table reading. We might have a little music. We might have a little video. It's kind of a weird play, multimedia, but fun. But don't expect, like, it's not a full, it's just a reading. Anything else that we need to say? Imagine Blackness runs through February 26th. So if you come up this weekend and you haven't seen Imagine Blackness, you can see that incredible digital show. MacArthur Freeman and Elizabeth Horge Freeman. Our next AfroQuantum Experiences ArtMaker Talk is on March 21st. And this is a Women's Month episode. We're going to have some women, all women. It's going to be very exciting. All right. I think we are at the end. Anything else that needs to be said?
Thank you very much for having me on.
Cora, thank you so much for coming on. You are like a legendary art diva. I've been trying to get you introduced for the Weekly Challenger for years. You remember years ago, we haven't, but I got you on this show. And again, thank you, Frederick. I look forward to wrapping you into everything arts and healing. Thank you to Creative Pinellas. Thank you to Barbara. Thank you to Charlene. Thank you to Beth. Thank you to Freddie. Thank you to Kim. Thank you to Ketsy. Thank you to Roman. I hope I got everybody. And that's it. I'm done. Oh, if you're not doing anything tonight, my girl Misha Brundridge, poetress of the Stars, who was on our last episode, she has her book is coming out and she's having a party tonight, a book party at Urban Drinkery, and so I have to hop off and drive at breakneck speed from Clearwater to St. Pete. So let's end this puppy so I can get in my car and get down there for my girl. I'll call you off.